I don't do it because of the championships. I don't do it because of the recognition. I do it because I want my players to excel.
Pressure never disappears. It just becomes the price of purpose.
Number one is having a wife that supports your career. She's been so wonderful through everything I've done.
Leadership starts with listening. It's so simple, but so rare.
If you're in a race and you're the guy third place and there's a guy in first place, if you run at the same speed, you can't catch them. So you need to run faster.
Confidence without noise. It's inspiring because it reminds us we don't have to shout to make an impact.
I guess I found love in football and its journey of up and downs.
You turn your passion into purpose. It's such a defining moment when someone shifts from chasing goals to helping others reach theirs.
One thing I'm proud of is that I kept an open mind through the journey and let life sometimes not take over, but kind of show the course of what you are meant to go to.
That's such a growth mindset, to see challenge as a classroom, not a punishment.
Be careful what you take for granted because it can all be taken away at a moment's flash.
Welcome back to Beyond the Summit. I'm Amir Golshani, and every week we sit down with extraordinary people who face life's toughest climbs and found new ways to define success, freedom, and purpose. Today on Beyond the Summit, we are joined by a coach who doesn't simply manage teams. He builds culture, transforms path, and unlocks potential. From his roots in Etobicoke, navigating his Canadian-Iranian heritage, to leading undefeated seasons in League One Ontario, reshaping the identity of Halifax Wanderers, and earning a call-up to Canadian national program. His journey isn't about the trophies alone. It's about the climb, the mindset shifts, and relentless belief that greatness is earned, not granted. Patrice Gheisar, welcome to Beyond the Summit.
Thanks, Amir. I'm a big fan. Thanks for having me on.
Patrice, it's such a pleasure to have you here. What I really admire is that behind every record, there is resilience, humility, and deep understanding of people. So today, let's go beyond football into life lessons, values, and small choices that shape who you are as a person, father, and leader. You grew up in Etobicoke with Iranian roots in a multicultural world where football wasn't yet part of Canada's mainstream. How did your background shape the way you see hard work, belonging, and leadership today?
Yeah, my obviously listen, it's in our blood with the Iranian background about football. I'm the youngest out in the family. I have two older sisters, and when I was born, my father used to joke that I got my little soccer player, so I grew up with him looking over my growth as a player and as a person. And the game gave so much to me, Amir. I learned so much as a person, and at one point, I started to feel that the game started to become a big part of who I am, and a big part of who I was starting to become more and more. And its passion took over me, and I just felt like the best version of me was always accompanied with football. So I guess I found love in football and its journey of up and downs. And as much as you don't want the downs, sometimes what really challenges you to become the best version of yourself.
So that's beautiful. It reminds me how powerful it is when your roots teach you discipline before success ever does. You carry those lessons with you in every room you walk into. At what moment did you realize that your path wasn't just about playing, but about leading, about helping others find their best selves?
Yeah, it's interesting, Amir. I never really, I would have, if I could go back to when I was 25 and I could say where I am today, I would have given it 0% chance. That's how extreme things changed for me. But the one thing I'm proud of is that I kept an open mind through the journey and let life sometimes not take over, but kind of show the course of what you are meant to go to. Um, I had a lot of injuries, a lot. I've had 7 knee surgeries, and I
Wow.
was playing at a club, North York Hearts. And I was, one of my mentors was two Iranian gentlemen, Bijan Azizi, who was a big name in Iranian football, and probably the biggest one here, Pavan Mosavat. Pavan spoke to me about listen, you have a good leadership skills on the field. Why don't you think about coaching? And honestly, Amir, I just did it for a year maybe. to kind of just say, let me recover my body from all the injuries I've had until I could get back again. That's all I thought about. I just thought it'd be a pit stop, can I call it? And I just found so much joy and love. And I found out that sadly, I'm a way better coach than I was as a player. And happily, I also found what influence I could bring. The moments that I had that I needed someone, I felt that void. So I try to give back to all the players I had my first year. The first year I coached was the kids that were born 1988, and they were a great group, but they were also needed guidance. So immediately I dove into it and I just said, let's see where this goes.
I love that. You turn your passion into purpose. It's such a defining moment when someone shifts from chasing goals to helping others reach theirs. You didn't even apply for the Halifax job. The call came to you. That says a lot. In a world that everyone's posting and promoting, what does quiet confidence mean to you?
Yeah, look, you have to be patient, Amir, because you're seeing your peers always speak about the things they've done and being recognized. So for me, I think like doing the work that you need to do for your team to be at their best, but doing it with confidence and quiet is really who I am. I don't do it because of the championships. I don't do it because of the recognition. I do it because I want my players to excel. I think my job is to win always, but it's also to develop players, but it's also to develop people. And I think by doing that, I gained more of a popularity and connection with my players, and the word of mouth started to grow that we were doing something special at Seneca College. I went there, and Seneca was a program that had been kind of down and out since 2009, and within 3 years, we went to a national championship. So I think it shows that look, if you do the right thing every day, and if you're happy about it, then you're going on the right path. Maybe you don't become recognized. I have to fully live. And maybe that call would have never come to me, and I would have been perfectly happy. I'm grateful that it did. Of course, don't get me wrong. But maybe it would have never come, but I would have been happy with the path that I was on because we were making major strides and improving a lot of different players and their lives and empowering them to become a better person.
That's so grounded. Confidence without noise. It's inspiring because it reminds us we don't have to shout to make an impact. Those first months in Halifax were tough. Slow
Yeah.
results, new environment, pressure. How did you keep your energy and belief alive during that time?
Yeah, Amir, it wasn't also just tough with the results. My family stayed in Toronto, and the thing I told you about, I am where I am because of my father and his connection to football. So for me, family is everything, everything. So to go there without my son who loves the game, and I'm also doing to him what my father did and trying to show him the way and getting to know this beautiful game, to leave him and my daughter and wife behind was very, very difficult, very difficult. But, number one, when we started our journey in the preseason, things went really well. And we didn't win the first 9 games, but I believe in myself, and that'll never change. I believe that I can. The tougher the situation gets, the stronger I get. I've always been that way through many, many, many different things outside of football. So I never stopped believing, and I never stopped believing in the group. And I think the biggest lesson I learned that point, Amir, was what impact you make as a leader to the people that you're leading. If I panic, if I make noise, if I start to point fingers, if I lose patience, they will do just the same. So I think the basics, man, believe in what you're doing every day. Do a little bit more than yesterday when you're down and out, because if you don't, you can't move forward. And someone told me this a long time ago, Amir. If you're in a race and you're the guy third place and there's a guy in first place, if you run at the same speed, you can't catch them. So you need to run faster. So when you're in those situations, work smart, but work a little bit harder. Ask your players well, just a little bit more, and they won't be afraid to give it because you want to get to where you're going. And on June 10th, we won our first game against Winnipeg. And it's insane what happened after. We won the next 4 out of the 5 games. I was named manager in the month for the month of June, and we ended up having a historic season. So sometimes you got to work hard for that one moment, just a one moment after the game ends to celebrate all the things you've been working towards. And that and say, okay, now we got to keep going. We didn't just work for the first one. We worked for more.
That's powerful. Staying steady when everything feels shaky. Most people panic in those moments. You build peace inside the storm. Was there
Yeah.
a particular game or moment where you thought, okay, something's shifting? We are turning the corner now?
To be honest, Amir, like we played our first two games against Ottawa and Hamilton, and both of them, Ottawa won the previous year, and Hamilton has led this league, and we ended up tying both games 1-1, and we had the lead both times. So I fully, at that moment, knew we were hanging on to a special group, and the guys stayed together. So I knew it even before then that it's only a matter of time, and I'm appreciative of all the players that stay committed. Some of the fans lost a little bit of patience, and I fully get that because our job's to win. We have the ability to make people happy, Amir. When we win, you have a good week of work. And we don't, you have a bad week of work. We have a responsibility. So I think I have a huge admiration for the group of the players I have the first year. And that year I was voted as top 8 players in the world in giving youth a chance because of the average age and how many players we had that were non-pros. But that never stopped them from believing because whether you're a pro or not, Amir, you got to believe in what you're doing every day. You got to believe in yourself because if you don't, no one will.
I love that. You can almost feel when belief walks into the locker room. Momentum always starts with emotion before it shows up on the scoreboard. You often talk about character before ability. What does that look like in action? And how do you protect that culture when times get tough?
Yeah, how it looks for me is that you behave the same way when you won 5 in a row and you behave the same when you lost 5 in a row. And Amir, if I could translate that to life, forget football. As a father, as a son, you behave the same way if you are having a bad month in sales and your commissions is down, or if you're having the best of times. If you're having the best of times, that doesn't mean you go out and celebrate extra and you blow it off and you tell everyone how great you are. You behave the same way. You're never too high, you're never too low, and you're constantly asking yourself one question: can I be better than yesterday? And I think how you really are able to translate that into your locker room is that if you've done a good job in the earlier parts of the season, Amir, you laid a foundation that there are rules, but the rules are secondary to standards. Your players have standards, and we have to hit the standards. We worry too much about results. We have to focus on actions. And that means I'm asking a player, can you work harder than last time? Can you compete against a player against you? And the next time you shoot, try to hit the net. The goal doesn't matter. What the score of the game is doesn't matter. Just focus a lot about the actions rather than the results. Because if all 11 players take care of their actions, the results will come. And again, I could translate that to life. If you're having a difficult month, that doesn't mean you change things. You just push a little bit more and you keep doing what's made you successful to be at the first place that you were.
That's real leadership. Guarding values, not just results, is what separates teams that last from teams that fade. You spend a lot of time having personal conversations with players. What's your approach when you sit across from someone one on one?
Yeah, I mean, there was one of the things at the very beginning, the players were maybe they didn't love Amir because I was always, say, "Oh, here comes another meeting." But I think, look, we live in a world that just because you look happy, it doesn't mean you're happy. There could be a player that comes out of here and not performing for 2 weeks in a row in training, and I'm saying, look at this guy, he's not performing. But I don't know what's going on in his life. I don't know if he had a flat tire or his car got stolen or God forbid his dog died back at home. Everybody's away from home. So I try to, one, show them support and tell them that I care about their career if they're playing or not. We focus on the guys that play. So the one thing I grew at is that I try to show that, hey, Amir, here's a couple of clips of what you're doing in the game and what you could do better. And just tell me about your life and what's going on and letting them speak. And at the end of the day, the more you could support a player, the more you're creating a caring culture where it's really about family. We talked about earlier in the season that our focus was going to be unity, passion, and dedication. But those things are all circling around family because a family fights, a family has up and downs, but at the end of the day, we always stick together.
That's beautiful. Leadership starts with listening. It's so simple, but so rare. You've built winning cultures in one and Halifax. But When you strip away tactics and training, what does culture really feel like to you?
Yeah, I think culture is about a place that you feel happy at. You show up that day, and when you leave, you're sad that you're leaving, Amir, because you can't wait to come back the day after. Culture is a place that the outside world doesn't dictate how you feel. You shouldn't feel better or worse because you win or lose. You feel good because you gave it everything you have. You know, you feel good because you're appreciated. You feel good because you're around people that are pushing each other. So for me, a culture is not necessarily to say a happy place, but it's an environment that challenges you to be your best. And I think that challenge has to come internally, but also collectively. And I think, like, to your point, tactics are the tactics, but there are many games that teams have won, or they were outplayed, but they still managed to win because the belief, which is what everything I talk about, that's the one thing it produces. If there's this culture machine, the one thing it spits out is unlimited belief because you care for each other, you're in an environment where you appreciate it, and you want to win for your team, you want to win for your teammate, you want to win for your coach, you want to win for your organization. And I think that for me is the definition of a positive culture or any culture.
Exactly. Culture isn't written on the wall, it's how people feel when they walk into the room. Coaching is intense. The expectations, the noise, the spotlight. How do you personally stay centered when pressure is high?
Yeah, it's extremely difficult to mirror because the noise doesn't shut off. It's everywhere. So I think one, you gotta have a balance of when you shut down. There's got to be where what the game's done, the week's done, the training's gone well or hasn't gone well. You have to have a balanced, healthy lifestyle where you go home, you could shut down football, spend time with your loved ones, and be able to balance that. I think that's absolutely critical. If you have belief, you got to believe that there are going to be bumps, but you always look for solutions. Where we went through a rough patch this year and was able to get out, we talked about being positive, reduce our cognitive load, and have unlimited belief. We don't need to change anything. We just need to be better at the key things. And I think for me, I have to constantly remain positive because my actions will dictate the actions of 25 players. Last year we had a lot of red cards. And I look at that and I will always visit that and say, what could have I done better? And I think part of that was that in some of the moments, me panicking obviously translated to some of the players. So, I think the last one of mirrors there is self reflection. You got to have a time after the quiet when everybody's sleeping, sit back and say, what can I do better? Because we can all do better. And what is it that I'm doing that's not translating well to my players? So I think that's really important.
That's so relatable. Pressure never disappears. It just becomes the price of purpose. The way you manage it makes all the difference. You lead within a structure, systems, schedules, expectations, yet you talk about freedom. How do you balance the structure and freedom as a coach and as a person?
Yeah, I think I'm here. The players that we bring in, we bring them in because of who they are. So allowing them to continue to be who they are truly with their family values, the things they learned as a young player, the dreams they had. And we always talk about dream big. It's really important to allowing them to be who they are. And, I think if we speak about, it's a different part of freedom. Freedom as a player, we're a possession based team that speaks about be at an area when you receive the ball, when you receive it, you have the freedom to make that decision and express yourself. And I think when you give people freedom, Amir, um, they're going to be happier and they will return whatever you're asking them twice more. And how you do that is by, talking about it and not building pressure that if we lose, the world ends. If you don't play well, you never play again. Like you have to get rid of those fears and speak about joy because, that's the most important thing about life. Just be happy when you get up, be happy about the day you're about to have.
That's profound. It's kind of counterintuitive, but true. Boundaries are what let us grow, not what hold us back. I love that, the way that you put it in. So you're also a husband and a father. How
Yeah.
do you balance this demanding career with being present for your family? And what have your kids taught you about leadership?
Yeah, number one is having a wife that supports your career. She's been so wonderful through everything I've done, because I also think she understands me, Amir. There are days that no matter what I do, I'm gonna come home with something on my mind. Now, when you come home, you have two beautiful kids and a wife that are smiling, you're able to shake it off. But there will be days that it does take its toll on you. So having that boundary that when you come in, work is gone. When you put your keys at the keychain, it's over, let it go is important, but it's not always easy to do. So having a wife that supports you and just says, hey, don't worry about it, and gives you a little bit more time for 30 minutes to settle in before coming, it's really, really important. That supports. I talk to her about everything. And I think with my kids, we had a big loss. And I remember my daughter coming to me and giving me a kiss and saying, Daddy, don't worry. No matter what, we love you and we know you're going to win the next one. And here I was thinking about all the different things going on in the world. And it allowed me to reflect back on what I read earlier, which is when you're winning, you're not as good as you think you are. And when you're losing, you're not as bad as think you are. And people are not talking about you. You lose because you feel embarrassed. You lose, you feel embarrassed. What are people saying? What are people thinking? You can't worry about that. And they're going on in their lives. So what they've taught me about leadership is, take the moment and appreciate every moment, enjoy the highs and lows, and make sure we have a group. And I talked about this with our group, is that we have to be able to laugh together and we have to be able to cry together. There will be days that you're sad. There will be days that you feel down, and it's okay. But when that day is gone, the next day comes, smile, wake up, be ready to go, because there's a new day and there's a new journey that awaits you. I think that was probably the biggest lesson I took from my kids.
That's touching. It shows that success at home is just as meaningful as success at work.
Yeah.
It humanizes leadership in the best way.
Yeah. Yeah. For
Do you
sure.
ever find that being a father has changed the way you coach, maybe how you understand your players or even yourself?
Well, for sure. For sure. I've gained, and listen, it's even one step above Amir because my son plays. So I understand how he feels at a young age when he loses. I understand when the coach gets mad at him and doesn't communicate about what they were upset about. I understand all those things, Amir. So I don't want to say I've gained this sensitivity because I don't want to say I've been insensitive, but I've learned about communication and setting expectations of your role for a player is critical. But I'll also understand, Amir, that there's going to be a bad day for me. I will make many decisions that will lose a game, and a player will also make a decision that allows us to lose a game. But he's not doing it on purpose. We're doing our best as a group to win. So being able to, with in a timely fashion, to go let him know, I'm here for you. I'm here to support you. You have all the time you need. But know that we're in it together is so important. And I think I learned that a lot about fatherhood, seeing my kids smile and being up and down and understanding that. And I don't know what the word is. I certainly don't think it's sensitivity, but it's something within that context that I've developed as I've seen them grow right before my eyes.
That's beautiful. Family teaches you the kind of patience no book ever could.
Yeah.
It depends the way you see others.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure.
Fans can be loud, social media even louder. How do you decide what feedback matters and what doesn't?
Yeah, it's so different. I was talking to a friend of mine who's coached for 30 years at the pro ranks, and he said the one problem you guys have now is that in the past 5 years, it's almost in the world that coaches are hired to be fired, because of the outspokenness of everything. There's no hidden. So I think you got to shut off that world. You can't worry about it. And the opinion that matters is in the locker room. Are you supporting your players? Are you putting a plan that's working? And then also talking to your staff. Their opinions matter. You need to empower them that they're not yes men or yes women. If they don't agree with something, they need to say, I don't agree with the approach to the game. We need to do this. You want to be in a room that you're surrounded with people that are smarter than you. And when they challenge your thoughts and they challenge your direction, then you need to take that away, have a self reflection, and say, they're doing things to challenge me to be better. And that's why I brought them here. So I think those are the values that matter, and then you're going in a direction with the players. They have belief, and your staff, and that's the most important thing.
That's wisdom, not blocking the noise, but curating it. And that's how you stay open yet unshaken.
Yeah, for sure.
Was there ever a moment you truly doubted yourself? And if so, what helped you climb back?
Yeah, I would say, last year when we were in a bit of a rut, we went to play Hamilton Forge. And we were playing so well, and out of nowhere, we ended up just getting a red card out of nowhere. And it wasn't even about a doubt. I just started to think, Amir, my God, am I jinxed? No matter what happens, I feel like I'm always like under the rain. I go right, the cloud is over me. I go left, the cloud's over me. And everywhere else I look, it's sunny. And then I started to take a bit of a reflection and say, look, this is not happening to me. This is happening for me. This is just another challenge I need to overcome, and I need to bring more calmness and subtleness. We need to make a bit of a minor tweak here and there, and it's all about improving. And I remember in the last 10 games, we only ended up losing one out of the last 10 games last year when we were really in the rut of things. We had 6 on breaks, we had 5 own goals, we had 8 red cards, things I've never seen that I can't even explain now. But there were things that were happening for me to become a stronger manager. And I think I wouldn't say I lost belief in myself, but I started to have doubts that is the universe around me against me. And I don't know if that's the same thing, that you're losing confidence in yourself. And look, you got to take a step back and say, am I doing the right thing every day? I am. But what can I do better? Because I can't, we talked about no blame and no excuses. There are no excuses for the things that were happening, and it's not anybody's fault. And I need to hold myself responsible to say, I have to do more. And how that looked, it was different every day.
That's raw. And that honesty connects because every listener in their own way has been there too. When things fall apart, a bad game, a tough season, how do you turn pain into wisdom instead of frustration?
I think, yeah, look, it's fresh. The wound, it's a wound. That's what it is for me. The wound is fresh. You got to let it heal. Take a week, get some rest, get your mind off of it, go on a vacation, surround yourself with your loved ones, attend to housework, return to your roots that you love, your family, and then after that, the first person you should look at is yourself. What could have you done again? Take an observation on self-reflection. What can I do more? What can I do better? And it's an opportunity, instead of feeling like a victim, to say, all these wounds and scars is what's making me a better person. Because after all, if your face doesn't have any scars, that means you haven't been through the journey. And sooner than later, it will happen. So better for you to have it earlier. So I think disconnecting, revisiting, and doing a self evaluation and coming back stronger. And the one word I would choose in that time that you need is energy. Have the energy to get over the hump that you're in.
That's such a growth mindset to see challenge as a classroom, not a punishment. It's something everyone can practice. With
Yeah.
all the travel, pressure, and expectations, how do you take care of your mind and body? What does recovery look like for you?
Yeah. So we traveled over my 3 years at Halifax, 200,000 kilometers combined,
Wow.
which is, I can't even explain it to anyone, Amir. When you get off the plane at Vancouver and it's a 7 hour flight and it's a 4 hour time difference, you could do things, but you have to be mentally strong. So for me, I did things to remain mentally strong and have no excuses. Never return to the point that I was like, oh my God, we're doomed. We're jinxed, where there's a hex, just remain positive. And in order to do that, I found that, I had a set routine workout 4 days leading to the game, where I would ride the bike and listen to music. And that workout got rid of all the negative energy and anxiousness. And I would always wrap that up with swim. I used to do competitive swimming when I was young. So I think swimming allows me to escape the moment, escape everything around it, and just live in the moment, because that's what swimming is. And get yourself prepared for what's to come.
I love that. That's so important. Your energy is your leadership. Without health, everything else collapses. You mentioned about your coaches and mentors who mentored you along the way. What's a lesson from them that still guides you today?
Yeah, the two guys, Carm Misako and Pavan Mosavat, were responsible. Is that they The one thing they've always done is been there. They've been there for me. So they've said, hey, look, the journey is long and maybe endless. It will never stop because we're always chasing this thing. Make sure you appreciate every day. When you win a league, you can't stop to say, wow, we won the league and appreciate it. Because your next thing you're chasing is now, next year, I want to do more. Next year, I want to win CONCACAF. I think appreciating the moment and the one thing they've done for me, they've always been there for me. So having a person that you could go to for support and me, as I'm starting to mentor some younger guys, as I've said, hey, I'm here for you. So having that endless support and giving people time to celebrate or grieve is super important.
That's incredible. Mentorship really is leadership that outlives us. It's legacy in action.
Yeah.
When you strip away results, titles, and headlines, what makes you most proud of your journey so far?
Oof. The connections with the players that will be lifelong, being able to go to their weddings and seeing them become great husbands and fathers, seeing them and where they were as a person. And honestly, Amir, I would say we have a handful of players. And when I was working with the younger players, maybe the sport saved their life because I don't know where they would have ended up and what journey of life and what they would have done. So seeing them have a life, because look, you have one or two players. Like I'm lucky that we have Alistair, Dane, Kamal Miller that are currently with the Canadian men's national team. But my journey is about the three, but also about the other 500 and seeing them become lawyers, doctors, fathers. So I think what makes me most proud is that I don't want to be judged on the best player I had on every team. I want to be judged on the guy that was number 17 on that team and how he progressed through his life and he gained confidence by being in a team sport and became a good father and a good husband and someone who's doing something better for the sport.
That's the heart of it. When your success becomes someone else's opportunity, that's real impact. Thank you. So, after setting records and leading transformations, what's next for you? Or what mountain are you preparing to climb now?
Yeah, I think Amir, it's the period that we talked about to just like the season ended, unfortunately 10 days ago roughly, and travel back. I think just to settle some time to be spend some time with the family and make a decision about what's next. I want to continue my journey as a coach and to be challenged. And I think for me, it's really important that I'm at a positive environment where I'm appreciated and I could also show the return of the appreciation with hard work and make a change and just continue to go and make an impact. But I think that that's really important, and I want to have a challenge in a different pathway and see what we could do. But right now, just to kind of sit back, self reflect, and celebrate the the 4 records that we broke this season. Continue to spend time with the family and just kind of find what life, because sometimes I think life also has its own plans for you.
That's exciting. I can feel there is more in you. Sometimes endings are just disguised beginnings.
Yeah, absolutely. I also read this in a book that I think, when you are not a championship team, you could look at two things, Amir, and say, the team is a championship team, and I'm not the coach that could get them there. And you could turn around and look at the other way and say, I'm the coach that's a championship coach, and this is not the team for me. And I think it's all about those relationships. I really, 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 truly love the team we had this year. There was such a great group of committed players, and I was really sad that I couldn't deliver the promise that I made them to bring the championship. But I know that they're on their journey, a path to finding it, and now I have to find the same path for myself to go. And I think the lessons that I've taken away for 3 years are more than anything I could have learned. And I think, taking this journey, Amir, it was really brave to leave Toronto and go to Halifax, leave my family behind for 2 years, and then my family to come. And you're vulnerable, you're out there. People make comments about who you are. And I think if I hadn't done it, I wouldn't be the person that I am today. And I'm really proud of that.
I love that. If someone listening is going through a tough season, maybe not in sports, but in life, what advice would you give them about staying in the course?
Yeah. And look, life's development of a player and development of a coach and development of a season is never linear. There will be side roads and shortcuts and sometimes the longer ways you got to take. Just see the action through. Never stop believing. Enjoy the highs, enjoy the lows. It's not happening to you. No one's out to get you. It's happening for you. And just understand that sometimes getting knocked down is perhaps what you need to reset yourself. And maybe it's a higher power telling you, no, you have more to give. So I'm knocking you down so you get up stronger than ever before.
That's gold. Because the same mindset that wins games also wins at life: discipline, faith, and patience.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
This show is about health, wealth, and freedom. What does freedom mean to you at this stage of your life?
Freedom means that me being proud of all the work that I've done and continuing to do it. I want to be who I am. Obviously, when you're in different rooms, you may have to change a little bit, a mirror of who you are. Someday you're a leader, someday you need to be a follower. But I think freedom for me is being proud of what I've done and the man I've become, and not changing. I don't know how I believe when someone says I won't ever change for anybody. I think we're all changing, but that's the world, that's our environment, that's our team, that's the moment that changes you, and that's you recognizing that you have to adjust, and that's not necessarily changing. That's you becoming better. So for me, that's the freedom, that I could be who I am and challenging myself to become better.
That's deep. Freedom isn't about having everything, it's about knowing what truly matters.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think the other one, I think about wealth. I think, we have everything, Amir, in this world that we need to succeed. And sometimes we all want more. And I understand that, but it's the one thing I'll tell you that I've learned is it's never enough. When you get one car, you want two cars. When you have a little bit of saving, you want a little bit more. When you won five in a row, you want six in a row. And I think, look, all of these are things. They're not going to make you a better person. They're not going to make your life happy. As a matter of fact, I would even challenge and say they'll make you more uptight and miserable. I think you enjoy every day because every day is a blessing. And I remember COVID, Amir, everything got taken away from us. And you started to appreciate the basics, being able to go see your neighbor, being able to go out and see your family. You dread going to see your cousins because it's a 20-minute drive. But during COVID, you couldn't wait to go see them because you missed them. So be careful what you take for granted because it can all be taken away at a moment's flash.
I love that. Absolutely. I cannot agree more on that. Is there something close to your heart that you rarely get to share, a belief, story, or a lesson you wish more people understood?
I mean, there's a lot of them, Amir, but the one thing I would say, maybe it's not a specific story, so I would speak about empathy, just have empathy. You don't know what people are going through. We had a really nice fan that reached out to me, Amir, and when we were in a losing streak and spoke about, he's like, I don't understand why I'm so angry when we lose. And I said to him, take a look at this show called The Turnaround. It's on Netflix, Amir. So, long story short, it's this baseball fan who's a Philadelphia fan. And he was so angry when the team was losing, so angry. And there was a shortstop they had signed called Trey Turner, I believe. And he hated him. He would call radio show, I hope this happens. They paid a lot of money. And then he actually ended up having to check himself in a mental wellness clinic. And after a few weeks, he left. He had a self observation and he said to himself, why am I so angry? Well, it's because my dad always used to scream at the TV, don't pass there, pass here, don't shoot there, shoot here. And then he called the radio show Amir and he says, hey, I'm going to the Philadelphia game. And when Trey Turner goes up, I'm going to stand up to give him a standing ovation. Every single one of you should do that. Long story short, he goes up. He's 0 for 16. He didn't have a hit. The whole stadium stands up and gives him a standing ovation. He hits a double. His season turns around. The team ends up going very far. I think they went to the World Series and lost. So I think take a step back. When we speak, our words hold great power. Have empathy, and you are probably underestimating the power of optimism. When somebody's down, it's easy to say, Amir's down because he deserves it. Or you could say, you know, um, Amir needs a bit of a help. I think They talk about lines of life. I don't know if you ever heard of it, Amir. The lines of life, the line to support people is the line that there's the least amount of people. The lines of criticizing, the lines of saying you should have done this are
Right.
the lines that everybody's standing at. So don't be afraid to go on your own journey. Don't be afraid to be positive and be have empathy. So I think those are a lot of the moments that I've learned about. It's nothing about in regards of specifics. And I think that that's what I want to share to the world, that when you're out there, when on social media, in the world, at a grocery store, when you say something, those words hold weight, Amir. And when I say something, I can't control what you take away. So have sensitivity towards it, because I don't know how you interpret it. I could just say to a player, hey, hello. And he may take it the wrong way because maybe I was colder. So just think twice before speaking, because your words can influence someone greatly.
That's powerful, Patrice. Thank you for going deep with us. This has been one of those conversations that reminds people that success starts with character and ends with gratitude.
For sure. Yeah.
What I
Thank you for
love
having me.
what I love most about your story, Patrice, is that it's proof that leadership isn't about perfection. It's about persistence. You've shown us that success isn't found in the final score, but in the climb, the culture, and the courage to keep growing. This was Beyond the Summit. I'm Amir Golshani. Stay curious, stay free, and see you next time. Thank you.
Thank you.